Jeffrey Has Heart exists because of the extraordinary kindness of people like you. Founded in 2016 by the then 16-year-old Jeffrey following his own open heart surgery, the mission of the organization is to provide financial and emotional support to the families of children undergoing the trauma and tribulations of heart disease. These children are the precious faces of congenital heart disease. Their stories move us. Their smiles encourage us. Their strength inspires us. But it is your generosity, prayers, and passion for lifting up these children that keeps JHH moving forward. What makes Jeffrey Has Heart so unique from other organizations is our ability to provide immediate help directly to families in need. Your donations go to assisting with lost wages and added expenses that can cripple families already in turmoil. We've been able to cover hotel rooms, meals, rent, and other essential expenses for our clients, making a difficult time a little bit easier. This kind of aid is special, but what ultimately makes JHH special is you. Each of you are the difference makers in the world of a child. No act of kindness or amount of giving is ever too small. As the Superman actor Christopher Reeve once eloquently said, "A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles." Each of our heart warriors are superheroes, and by helping them to endure, you can become a superhero too.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the 9th Annual Jeffrey Has Heart Gala. I'm Mike Doocy from Fox 4, along with Sam Gannon. We co-host Free for All, Sunday through Thursday every week on Fox 4. And we're just in our respective homes, just kind of hanging around wearing the kind of garb we would normally wear on a Saturday night. Sam, tell us.
Very casual, very casual. We thought we'd be festive in the name of Halloween, but we know we're here for a very important cause and happy to be here tonight with all of you.
Sam borrowed an outfit from me, and I did the same from her. So we're just we're going to have some fun here for the next hour and tell you much more about the cause. Now, when you have a pirate who is in his mid-60s with his vision not what it used to be, the whole eye patch thing seems like a good idea until it comes time to try to read a script or at least refer to a script. We're going to slide the eye patch just off to the side a little bit.
There you go.
We'll get the effect, and we're good to go. So who are you again, Sam? What's the deal with you?
Medusa. I'm supposed to be evil, but really I'm not.
Okay.
Very
nice.
You see, Mike would beg to differ when I lose my temper on occasion, but yes, I'm Medusa.
Now, there are times that outfit would be extremely appropriate, but we're just having fun here on a Saturday night. Again, it's the 9th annual event for Jeffrey Has Heart and the gala tonight. And obviously, there's the Halloween theme, the Galaween, if you will. And it's great to be back with you through the miracle of Facebook Live. We appreciate you tuning in for another Heart Gala. A special welcome to all the followers who are watching this live stream from as close as Southeast Garland and as far away as Australia and the UK, I'm told tonight. So we're very much hoping the stream provides British subtitles. Jeffrey wrote that line, pause for laughter. Okay. All right. Now, I first became aware of Jeffrey before his open heart surgery in 2015. I got an email from his dad, Garrett, and he sent emails to our employer at Fox 4 and the Ticket, the radio station, of course, SMU as well, and Garrett's workplace, Fidelity Investments, hoping for a few words of encouragement. Those 3 initial emails were forwarded to thousands of people, and we learned Jeffrey was about to undergo an 8-hour surgery, a major 8-hour surgery, and he had a long road to recovery, clearly, and long road to healing. But many reached out to him to encourage him and help him laugh just a little bit. The encouragement obviously worked, as Jeffrey was motivated and determined through his heart for kids to motivate him to start a nonprofit at the age of 16, ultimately assisting others going through what he had experienced. So past MCs of the gala include Jake Kemp, noted local broadcaster, as you know. Joel Burke, the great Gordon Keith of the Ticket and the Musers in the Morning, has hosted this thing 5 times. And I'm proud to say it's my second time being involved as a host or co-host. The great Tony Casillas, the former Cowboy, was on hand with me the first time as we did an interview format there. And it's great to have Sam with us here tonight as the organization gets a little bigger and impacts more lives each and every year. And Sam, I know you've gotten a chance here to learn more and more about it, and it's really impressive to see all the great work they're doing.
Yeah, so much great work. And again, so happy to be with all of you here today. Thanks for taking time out of your weekend to be here with us again for a really important cause. In its first 9 years of existence, Jeffrey S. Heart has touched the lives of 120 different families, providing meals, hotel rooms, stays at the Ronald McDonald House, blankets, gifts, bills, wheelchair accessible vehicles, visits to the various hospitals, and sadly 5 funerals as well, as well as the ongoing financial assistance, which has surpassed $850,000. So you can see really in a short period of time the enormous amount of work and benefit that has gone into helping the 120 families. So the goal tonight, very straightforward. We're raising awareness for Jeffrey Has Heart to help educate others on how heart conditions affect kids and adults in so many ways, from a medical standpoint, which we know is very critical, but also the emotional and the financial impacts. Along the way, we hope to raise funds for the nonprofit tonight to not only assist the next group of recipients, but again, to continue to help the struggling JHH families. You are here tonight to actively participate by commenting on the live stream, the comment section, and I encourage each and every one of you to dig deep as we provide future financial assistance together. We will hear several inspirational words throughout the night and hopefully have some fun along the way.
All right, let's call in our third co-host of tonight's festivities. He's really driving the train here tonight. The Jeffrey Has Heart founder and president, Mr. Jeffrey Kelley. All right, turn your camera on. What's going on?
Oh, the camera's off? Please? Oh, yeah, my bad. I didn't realize the camera's off. Okay, so let me put the camera on and then figure out how we can get this going here. And it's not liking that. Hold on just a moment. It wouldn't it wouldn't be no, this wouldn't be a bit. This would be that it is currently angry at me for some reason, so we are going to figure out why it is angry at me. This is only suspending. It's making this drag on even more, which will mean that the reveal will hopefully be a little more worth it. Or maybe it won't, and it's just all one big technical...
No, don't undersell it now. Come on.
Come on.
There might even be like an...
there you go. Yes, indeed.
Yay!
Yes. The news anchor.
Yes, indeed.
Not Doocy?
Not any news anchor. Do you see this Iowa pin right here? What do you think I would be otherwise?
Wow.
Do you think I went to all this trouble with the hair product just to come and be any reporter in the world? I don't think so, gentlemen. And it's so great that I could take a break from my stint, if you will, with as being the fourth muser and making my incredible predictions in my famed journal. But I'm here tonight to help with this charitable cause just as much as y'all. I have more stuff down the line. We're good for now. But yes, thank you so much, Mike, and Sam, both of y'all. It's always amazing to do stuff with y'all. I'm gonna put the spoon down now, but it's so great to be able to do stuff with y'all.
I can tell. So it was a spoon with a Fox 4. What
yeah, that's the best way we were gonna be able to do that.
I like it.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So no, I'm not trying to show y'all up. This is my costume, and hair is as good as it's gonna be. But absolutely, again, thank y'all so much for being here.
If you're impersonating me, then you'd have to have a teleprompter and just read it word for word. Okay, that would be so the word machine breaking down would be your biggest nightmare.
Exactly. The word machine grinds ever forward.
See, and I ad-libbed about the way you did just there. So let's Aren't you glad you invited us?
No, I would much rather have this happening than anything else. This is the stories that DFW wants to know. I don't think you've ever said that in your life, but Ay.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit here, Jeffrey, and just kind of, I guess, big picture. What prompted you? We sort of outlined it in the intro there, but for those who don't know, what inspired you to start this organization?
Absolutely. So, my this organization was the product of my own experience with congenital heart disease. I'm not going to take myself seriously if I keep holding this. It was my own experience with congenital heart disease. I was born with a congenital defect known as aortic stenosis, basically meaning that my heart valve had narrowed to the point of not allowing the maximum amount of blood to flow through my heart. This was coupled with two of the valves actually sticking together, which became a much more serious problem. I had a minor surgery soon after birth and was told that I would need to wait until my teenage years to have a more serious surgery. And that ended up coming true at age 16 with a much more serious surgery that saw my damaged heart valve taken out and replaced with a donor's valve. Well, one valve was taken from another part of my heart and put where my damaged aorta used to be, and then a donor's valve was put where that other valve used to be. So a triple change out. And that, in and of itself, would have been enough to just want me to help children with my disease, but it was some specific incidences in the hospital that really got me thinking about the impact of CHD on the people around me, and not just the disease itself, but all of the factors related to being in the hospital, such as a lot of the secondary costs. And we can get into that here in just a moment, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you saw some pretty intense stuff that you observed, from families sleeping in the waiting room to, you made a note of a little kid asking your mom just for a meal, just things that fall through the cracks as these families are struggling with the costs involved, and sometimes it's cost, a lot of times it's cost. I understand that. Sometimes it's just the disruption of their lives that they never could have anticipated.
Absolutely, that disruption can come in the form of losing out on income, obviously, as many parents, especially single parents, are having to take time off of work and hampering the income of the family at large. The overwhelming majority of families that we work with are at or below the poverty line. So, for example, for a three-person family, that's around $26,000 in annual income for the family. The family makes less than that, and we have larger families where, 4 or 5 children, even at that higher threshold of $36,000, they're still not making enough to be considered above the poverty line. That has kind of led us to find this niche, which is children that are not only going through a lot of hardship on their own, but families that are going through a lot of hardship. There are so many things connected to a stay at the hospital that rack up over time.
Yeah, Jeffrey, for your heart condition specifically, why did you have open heart surgery?
So, like I talked about a little before, I may have jumped the gun a little bit, but it was specifically to correct my aortic stenosis. It was called a Ross procedure, which is, it's where they will take your damaged aorta and replace it with your own left ventricle, and then take a donor's ventricle and put it where your ventricle used to be, because the tissue has to still be living for an aorta. So a donor's aorta won't work since it's already from a deceased person, unfortunately. But a ventricle doesn't have to be alive. And that surgery went very well. I had that surgery at Medical City Dallas, under the fantastic care of Dr. Mendeloff, who is now retired. And he did a fantastic job for myself and so many other children throughout Dallas and the rest of the world. But it was actually some of that time in the hospital that really prompted me to start Jeffrey Has Heart. When I was recovering in my room, walking around the floors or laying fairly stoned in my hospital bed, I was looking around and seeing some of the families there who weren't quite as well off as I was. Um, I looked and saw a family, for example, that had a newborn who was suffering from a much more serious congenital heart disease, and essentially the entire family was at the hospital all hours of the day. The entire family was sleeping in the waiting room of the part ICU unit at night because they couldn't afford to go all the way back to the community they were from or to stay in a hotel because hotel nights really do rack up quickly. And if the Ronald McDonald House is full or not accepting, it becomes much more difficult to find any kind of lodging. So they slept in armchairs in the waiting room, and and they were also sharing off of trays of food. And this, over that entire time they were doing all this, their child was getting sicker and sicker, and unfortunately did pass while I was still in the hospital. So it was seeing that and seeing how families already going through such a difficult time can't even have the most basic of comforts. And so I've worked, and all of my amazing board members and donors and families have worked to try to lower that problem as much as possible over the past 9 years.
It's it's ironic. My grandson is here with his mom and dad. My grandson Harrison just turned 1 month old. I hear him crying in the background right now as we talk about the incredible work that you're doing for families and young kiddos and all that they're going through. You've helped a lot of families through the years, again, through these past 9 years. Talk a little bit about the kind of assistance, and you've talked about it in general terms, but the monetary value is getting up there as well in terms of donations, right? Thanks to the generosity of a lot of people, including some who are watching us right now.
Absolutely. And it all of our donors up to this point have been either private or have been directly from individuals associated with organizations. And even with that, even with only having private donors or using, for example, corporate matching programs, we still have accumulated, as we talked about earlier, $850,000 over 9 years, and essentially every single cent of that has been used to help the families in need, as well as other events related to them. We talked about before that while we have primarily focused on helping with hotel and parking and meals while they're in the hospital, we've also provided things like toys and gift baskets for families and their children, especially while they are having to stay and still be children while their sibling is going through something terrible or something difficult. And then we've also unfortunately had to fund several funerals over our time, which we feel blessed to have done so. We know the funerals are certainly not cheap, and we were very happy to do that, even if the circumstances themselves were far less than ideal.
Jeffrey, what have you found just in general with these families that you've helped? What has the response been like? I can only imagine, they have so many expenses across the board that they're dealing with, but what has it meant to them? What has the response been like with you guys just being able to help out in different ways?
Absolutely. We have a lot of families where they've told us that they really don't know if they would have made it without us at this point. There are lots of federal programs and federal grants or state programs that can help to some extent, but the niche that we're in, that niche of helping sometimes fully with income loss or with rent loss, for some of our families up north, most of y'all watching at home, and I know y'all know about Jace. He and his family live up in the Great White North of Minnesota, and they often deal with very, very cold winters and use gasoline furnaces and natural gas furnaces to heat their living spaces, some of those bills can be as high as, I believe, we had one last year of about $1,200 in a month just for heating costs for a small family home. So we really try to help in these areas, and we really have heard that there's no one else that does what we do, and we really fill a niche that needs to be filled, and that is very, very appreciated.
You've provided us, with some facts and figures here, and I don't want to get too bogged down in numbers, but it kind of helps explain in some cases the what we're dealing with here in terms of the numbers of people. 1 in 110 American children are born with congenital heart defect. 1 of 4 of those will have a critical heart defect.
Mm-hmm.
Babies with critical defects will need surgery within the first year of life. And one stat or a fact, I should say, that kind of jumped out at me was that it's more common than childhood cancers. Although, I guess in terms of awareness, not necessarily thought about more than, not that it's a contest here, but I'm just saying, a big reason for having an event like this and your organization in general is to raise awareness to these conditions that affect so many families, although it may not get as much attention as some others. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. A lot of children that we have seen that have been born with CHD, the families really didn't know that it was a possibility. Even with something as common as this, for whatever reason, it isn't discussed as much in the open as some of these other illnesses. And part of me at times has thought, well, it's because cancer is much more, you might want to say, explosive sort of thing. It's much more dramatic, but some of these heart conditions are just as dramatic. Again, it's certainly not a competition, but it's interesting to me how so many of these diseases, with a commonality of 1 in 110, aren't talked about more. And you have many things that are as simple as you have a slight tear in a certain valve, or you have a tightening, as I did. But then you have those critical cases that include things like HLHS, where the heart itself is basically reversed in the body, which causes massive loss of functionality, as you might believe or might expect. A lot of that is also included how its effects on mortality rates. Between 1999 and 2017, 1 in every 814 deaths were attributable to congenital heart defects, whether directly or as a complication adding to a larger cause. 48% of those deaths occurred before the child was 1 year old. So it is a very, very high part of infant mortality, even in a developed nation like the United States. And that's why screening immediately is so important, and why having access to proper cardiac care and organizations like ours that can help with secondary factors is so important in making sure you receive that treatment early and you receive the best treatment possible.
Jeffrey, when you talk about the survivability of CHD, as you just kind of leading into this, it's dependent on many different factors, of course. What can you tell people that are on this Zoom call today just about the factors that that's dependent on?
Well, it's really, there's so many things that can affect it, starting with the severity of the defect. My defect, for example, has a very, very low mortality rate when it is caught. When it is caught, it only has a mortality rate of about 0.03 out of every 100,000 Americans. So a tiny percentage of people end up dying from aortic stenosis if it's caught early. That can't be said for other diseases where if it isn't caught, or even if it is caught, it can have a much higher mortality rate. So think it can also be the timing of diagnosis. If it's caught at the moment of birth or within several days of birth, it is far more likely to have a positive outcome. Treatments, obviously, whether it's minor or major surgery, whether it's medication, or as you get older, lifestyle to help promote the health of the heart. That's also important. As well as the presence of other conditions. Talking about Jace again, Jace has serious comorbidity with several other illnesses, currently with kidney functionality as well as cancer that he's dealt with in the past. So there is a lot of importance there. Thank goodness, though, that when it comes to CHD, about 97% of cases, or 97% of cases where a child has a normal CHD defect, it's survivable, and even with critical cases, about 75% of infants also can survive infancy with a critical heart defect. A sadly lower number, but still a, thank goodness, high number compared to how it could be. And even through adolescence, like I'm at this point, I guess it's a bit further behind than I like it to be, but through the age of 18, 95% of babies born with non-critical defects will live, and with critical defects, that's also 69%. So even once you get past infancy, there's a very, very good chance that you will live to the age of 18 with a non-critical defect, and still a quite good chance you'll live to 18 with a more critical defect.
Again, we're trying to raise awareness here for a lot of reasons, but primarily to remind folks of the financial and emotional toll that the dealing with these conditions can have on families. As you've outlined and indicated, out-of-pocket expenses, financial problems that can be incurred, greater caregiving hours, parents forced to quit jobs or reduce hours to care for their child, and decreased mental health as well. So like every health condition, there are things on the periphery that you may not immediately think about, but can really kick in at some point during this entire process, even after a surgery, for example, even after the healing, theoretically has concluded from a surgery. There are other things that can hang on, and obviously Jeffrey has heart. That the mission there is to help the families through, at times, the most difficult part of this journey.
Absolutely. And when it comes to making up for lost wages, a lot of times we're not able to fully do that. We try as best as we can, but we try when we're not able to do that, which unfortunately, as I said, is most of the time. We help with the things that will ensure that any money that they are bringing in will stick around. One family that we talk about a lot, Josh, who's also been a client of ours for a long time, his family, we helped them buy a van not too long ago because they live way out even further north and west than we do, out in the Ponder Crum area, and they were having to commute into Dallas Children's a lot, which is nearly a 50-mile trip, and they didn't have a vehicle that could really support the wheelchair that he was needed to be in, or the other equipment he would need to have with him just to get to and from the hospital. So we helped them purchase a van several years ago in order to make that trip more possible and not to put the financial strain on their family to have to purchase a van when they were already struggling more with their financial status. And then with the mental health, I think that is something that's really important. Talking about Jace again, his father is fairly popular on TikTok now, talking about both about Jace's story, but about the mental consequences of being a parent of a chronically ill child. And it can be a lot, even if you're a parent who is as patient and loving and committed as you can be. Having to not only see what your child's going through, but having your entire life disrupted in the process, it can be a lot to handle at any given time. but I admire him, and I admire all of the other CHD families out there that are making the best of what they can with the situation they're in and with whatever time they, have with some children who might be more critically ill.
Well, should we listen to some special words from some special friends?
Absolutely.
Ready to listen to some shout outs here?
Absolutely. Let's take a break here and let the video do some talking.
Hey there, everybody. Colin Mockery, whose line is it anyway? International comedy icon. I want to wish you all a happy Galaween. As you can see, I am in costume as an old man in Sicily. Wish I could be there for you, but thank you so much for supporting the 9th annual Jeffrey Has Heart Gala. In a time when it just seems like there's a big split between people, it's nice when people come together for a common cause, and that is to help other people. So thank you for all you do. Continue doing it. Thank you for who you are. Really appreciate it. Everyone stay safe. I'm going to have a mimosa.
When the charity Jeffrey Has Heart began nearly a decade ago, it was not hard to jump on board and to support it. There was a genuineness there, a caring and a commitment, and it targeted a group of people badly in need of support. The families of children undergoing heart procedures. Now, 9 years later, 120 families helped, $850,000 raised. But maybe the best part of Jeffrey Has Heart comes from those families knowing that they're not alone on the difficult journeys they find themselves on.
Hey, Christopher Knight here. I wanted to give a shout out to all the good people at Jeffrey Has Heart. Specifically, I want to congratulate you on 9 successful years raising money to benefit children undergoing heart surgeries and procedures, and for being there for their families. Thank you for all the meals and the help with transportation and lodging, and of course, helping with those medical bills. Congratulations for all you've done. And to Jeffrey's dad, Garrett, well, I thank you for being the world's biggest Brady fan. Now, to all watching, enjoy your Galaween.
2, 1.
Fun there to see some of those familiar faces that both Mike and I know. We want to mention, as a first chance for you to win, the first 10 people, okay? The first 10 people to donate $50 or more are automatically entered into a raffle to win a $150 Southwest gift card. So make those donations now. They are needed, so make them.
Absolutely, and yeah, that is a typo on screen. I just realized it says 250. It is 150 for that first gift card there. Before we continue on, though, I went to all this preparation of the suit and the pin and the hair. It wouldn't be a gala if there wasn't at least a little bit of Mike Doocy's song that made its way into the world. So, can't really have any backing music here, but... Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. They're finishing up a Grow Game series in Edmonton tonight, and they're looking fantastic. You have to look at the... Okay, that's all I have. There you go.
That's nice. And it goes, let me see what spring is like on. You pick it up now.
Jupiter and Mars.
In other words,
Please be true.
hold my hand. Yeah,
Oh, too early, too early.
You know the rest.
That's all we're getting for now.
Excellent. That was an excellent, he sings that song a lot. So Jeffrey, you did a very good job. That was pretty spot on.
Every night I remember the live rendition that I heard, I believe back in 2018, and it keeps me awake every night, and I had to relive it now. Sam, how about you right this ship now? We're taking on water at this point. Not that the pirate would be unfamiliar with that.
Jeffrey, let's get back to the nuts and bolts of the organization. So we're going to focus more specifically now on how to follow the Jeffrey Has Heart's kids and their stories, as well as what it costs to support these precious families.
Absolutely. So kind of expanding on what we were talking about before with costs, we talked a lot about how we help with food, lodging, and gas, with providing small comforts such as gift baskets, blankets, toys for families and parents. A blanket never hurts a parent either. But just kind of to expand on what some of those bigger things cost. As you might know, hotels around the Dallas area, even around the medical district, aren't cheap. A lot of times we are able to negotiate slightly lower rates with some brands, such as Marriott and Hilton, which is very generous on their part, but even then, it's still about $100 a day to put someone up. And that was just a total that I can recall from 2022. In this day and age, it can be even higher, to 20 to 30 a week, even for a negotiated lower rate. 220 to 30 a night. If you're finding a hotel for 220 or 230, do not let any children anywhere near that hotel. But the idea with that as well is things like fuel fluctuate, and so you might not always have that exact amount you need in your wallet. But with the fuel cards that we've helped to fund for $25, $50, that can also be a lot of help. And that's just looking at some of the smaller, more immediate things we do. When it comes to bigger things like rent, utilities, phone bills, large items we've done in the past, such as CPAP machines or transport vans, and then the unfortunate occasions such as funerals, you're looking at more along the lines of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Funerals, even for infants with much, unfortunately to say, smaller arrangements, are still quite expensive. That could be anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 or $7,000, depending on who you're working with, what your arrangements are. And so with Jeffrey Has Heart, we really rely on the donors to fund us, and fund these families more specifically with what they need in these times, because these are, especially for things like funerals and day-to-day hotel expenses that aren't part of something like the Ronald McDonald House, that is something that isn't covered by most programs and that can't really be planned for. And that financial reality, just to kind of hammer that in again, the majority of JHH families are at or below the poverty line. In the U.S. as of right now, for one person that sits at $15,000, which honestly I believe is too low even now. Going up to larger families, it increases by about $5,000 to $5,500 a person. So, for example, the Josephson family, that's now at 6 members, as they recently just welcomed a new member into the world, they are still well below the poverty line, which for them would sit at about $35,000 a year. And so that's where we really need to help with families that are more in trouble than others. I'm currently... And to transition back for a second, just to take a pause here before we move on to some more unfortunate business for the time being, we do actually have an update on the Southwest card raffle. Who would like to do the honors?
I will.
All right, Mr. Doocy, go for it.
I'm sorry, do I have that information?
You should. Check your thread.
All right, stand by, everybody. All this technology just doesn't always. Oh, there we go. Do you have the name in front of you there as well?
I do indeed.
You happen to know how the first name is pronounced?
Yes, I believe it is Cyrena.
Cyrena Morris.
Indeed.
The winner of the Southwest card. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Absolutely, and that is our first raffle item of the night. We will have our second raffle item. Well, actually, would y'all mind if we went ahead and ran that second raffle item up now, as long as we're talking raffle?
Let's do it.
All right, and that will be, who do we have doing that? Mike, that will be for you as we go into our target card.
All right, stand by. So do I have the name of the winner already, or are we just describing?
No, we're
it?
just
Help me along.
describing the card here.
All right. The it's $250 gift card for Target, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that what we're talking about? All right.
And that will be for our first 10 people to donate 75 or more.
Oh, there you go.
So we're going to up the ante here, and you're really going to stick around for our last item. That will be the biggest dollar item of the night.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
remember that every donation you make is another donation contributed to helping families who are at the most critical need at this time. So thank you to everyone again to your generosity so far, and we hope we continue to see your generosity going into the rest of tonight.
Absolutely. And I'm
We
seeing
have a video.
$1,200 so far. That's what the donations are up to.
Correct, and that is, yeah, that we could definitely, in years past we've been able to do more. I know that tonight is kind of weird for people, but whether you're watching this live or watching this back, I hope that you will donate. The totals that we will be taking in all weekend long. So do everything you can. If you don't make a donation now and you happen to be watching this, say, after your favorite football team is done playing, go ahead and make a contribution. We will still be tallying this up through tomorrow night. We will have a wonderful grand total for you at that time. But we do need to pause here for a minute, because as we talked about, there is the unfortunate fact that in the congenital heart disease community, even in the best of circumstances, and certainly in the worst of circumstances, not everyone will make it out. And this year we did also unfortunately lose one of our own in the way of a board member. One of our founding members, John Schoenberg, unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And he unfortunately joins many people that we have grown to love and know who have passed away during our time as an organization. And so we wanted to pause here and take just a minute to remember those people and the contribution they had to the Jeffrey S. Hart community.
I know your life on earth was troubled. Only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face
And as a reminder, and before going on to that reminder, actually, we really do appreciate everyone who has donated to these families and everyone else over the years. We know that the fight against congenital heart disease and everything that it brings along with it isn't easy. And we hope that all of our former clients who have passed on, them and their families, are finding the peace they need. For our families that are still here, though, the best peace we can give them is the peace to know that they're being cared for. And so we ask you to be part of that care through donations, and that's why we have this donation screen up at the moment. So please, if you haven't already, make your donation. We will be racking this tally up for the rest of the weekend, and we very much hope that you will be part of bringing us to a spectacular total.
Who's helping out, and as you've pointed out, the generosity continues far beyond this hour or so that we're together on this platform tonight, and we thank folks in advance for all their help. You came into the studio and appeared on Free for All the other night, weeknights on Fox 4.
Good luck.
Already losing track of which night it was, but you were here not long ago.
Monday, I believe.
Yep.
And it's funny, isn't it interesting? We talked before we went live here, how it's all about what we're used to. Sam and I do that show on TV with hopefully a few people watching every night, and don't really get nervous per se, don't really think about it that much. But we were a little nervous about this tonight because it's just something outside our comfort zone a little bit. We're dressed a little weird too. You're just as smooth as can be here tonight. You're running the show. What was it like to come onto our show last week at Fox 4?
It was, certainly as much of an experience as any other thing with the media has been in the past. I feel like there is a little bit of the role reversal tonight, because whether or not intentional or not, with my costume, I kind of am in the place that y'all were at last week, because y'all were the ones dressed up all fancy. I came in a t-shirt, and now y'all are in what looks to be more costumey, and then here I am, yes, with the costume elements, but basically in a suit with some grayed up hair. But the being on the show, I've talked about this, I think in previous galas. It's interesting. I know so many people that get stage fright, and as someone who's more introverted, I can have, some of that social anxiety when talking to people. But when it comes to performing, say, for this group here, not to say performing as if I am currently a circus monkey or something, but when it comes to being on broadcasts, when it comes to running a broadcast even, it has never been a problem for me. And even being in that studio, just with y'all, and hate to peel the curtain back for some people, but with the robo cameras, that and Mike's robotics makeup stylist, it was very interesting. Just having how that's changed, because I remember coming in to sit in on some of y'all's shows, and on another station that I won't mention for legal reasons. Well, not for legal reasons, but just for goodwill reasons. And it was still back in the days when there were so many more cameramen, and just that vibe has changed so much. And it was interesting, but it was very, it was enjoyable.
No, we
Still
had
a
fun
fine-tuned
having you
machine,
on.
though, isn't it, Sam? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did anything else surprise you about it that, talk about peeling back the curtain when you came into our station? Anything about that experience that you weren't expecting or that surprised you about television?
The fact that I've been drinking heavily, maybe that was...
No, I expected that. Have you never seen any of the older shows, Mary Tyler Moore or anything like that? They were drinking like crazy.
Anchorman.
Yeah, Anchorman. Yeah. I will say, if you notice when reporters will grab their note sheets and kind of slam them on the desk, the number of taps indicates what drink they're requesting. I think you went for 3 taps for a martini that night, Mike, I'm pretty sure, but
Yeah.
4 taps, you might end up with a whiskey, something of that nature. Taking a break real quick from the Fox 4 talk, though, I do believe we have another winner coming in now for
All right.
our Target card. And as a reminder, we'll look at that again. The graphic has decided to glitch again. That should be a $250 Target card, not a Southwest card. But regardless of that, we have a winner. So would one of y'all like to take it away?
All right, drum roll. Mike, you want to do a drum roll? That was all right. Right. The winner for the Target gift card, Steve Ramsey.
There
Steve
you
Ramsey,
go.
you were the winner.
Steve.
Steve. Indeed. Steve, indeed.
Nice.
Excellent. You know, I always joke, I go into Target for paper towels and I come out of there spending $100 on all kinds of things. So $250 gift card to Target. Now we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
There was a time in my life when I thought that stereotype only really applied to families, as well as to specifically when I was growing up. It was like the teenage girl thing was to go to Target and get all their stuff. The older I get, the more I realize, no, I'm the one who goes and spends $300 in Target now and walks out of there not knowing how it happened. But if you do want to know how things happen, in fact, maybe you want to set yourself up in a situation to where you always know how things are happening and build off of that. Build like with supplies that you could get from our final raffle entry of the night. That was the biggest stretch of a transition I could do.
All right.
But our
That's
final raffle item of the night, should we talk about that?
We're talking here a raffle for a $350 Lowe's home improvement gift card.
Yes.
$350 from Lowe's. Outstanding. So
That's-
again, we ask you to make those donations. We're saying final donations. Again, this goes beyond this event, but for the purposes of our window here, final donations, we thank you for your generosity in advance, and we urge you to keep on donating. So again, that's how you can do it. We're talking about a $350 Lowe's home improvement gift card. Quality stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and no, go ahead, Jeffrey.
Oh, I was going to make the very, very important contribution. Now, that's like 30 pieces of plywood you can buy with that money. So I'm sure nowhere near as important as what you're about to say, Sam.
No, that's some good little tidbit of information. The donation methods, they're going to extend beyond this gala event. They will be open all weekend. So you can be generous to the kids and the families of Jeffrey Has Heart all weekend long. We did it. We made it all the way through the night in costume. This hour has gone by. It's almost 8 o'clock now. I feel like it's flown by. Don't you think, Deuce?
Absolutely.
Great. It really has. And I'm so impressed, Jeffrey, by what you've done, and I know your entire family involved in this organization, this initiative, if you will. You've changed so many lives and helped so many families in such profound ways. You've addressed this to an extent here, but how has it changed your life, this experience, and how does it continue to?
So just thinking about my life, even it's interesting. The organization, something that's been a part of me for so long now. You started it when I was still 16. Technically, my family and our friends who were on the board initially are the ones who started it, since I wasn't on the paperwork at 16. But that basically means it's been a part of my life for, well, not even basically, it's been a part of my life for well over a third of it. So it's driven me not only to step outside of my comfort zone when it comes to experiences. Like, never when I was 14, 15 did I think I would be sitting here dressed up like a reporter on a Saturday night in October and talking to two very well-known people across DFW and the state of Texas. Well, we can debate that. I'm going to say the polls show that that there's a 1% chance higher that y'all are well-known. But, yeah, just with that, you know, as I said before, there have been so many cool experiences I've had. But even then, I tell this story a lot the main reason that I started the organization back in the day wasn't to have these experiences or anything, because a lot of times they're not experiences I particularly want. As far as not something I would seek out. Not to say this sucks, but I had always felt like what started Jeffrey Has Heart originally was the response that I got, as we talked about at the beginning of the event tonight. The enormous amount of emails and cards and gifts that I received from around the country and around the world, the connections that I ended up making, that I felt really guilty about that, so to speak. It didn't feel like, with my condition, where I had, for sure, a serious condition, but one that is far more survivable and with a far easier way to go about things than a lot of other people dealing with CHD, I didn't feel like I should be the one receiving all that attention. I saw people, the Jaces of the world, before I knew who Jace was, and thought that they're the ones that should be getting this. So, in starting Jeffrey Has Heart, I really tried to work as much as possible on turning that focus outward, not only from myself, but from everyone else involved, and really making it on the children. And that's something I think that it's inspired me to do in my life as well, just to kind of turn my focus outward and look at the problems that can be solved that aren't just the problems that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, sort of thing.
Sam and I have a chance through the course of our work to get to know a lot of people who raise awareness and raise money for a lot of amazing causes, but yours is so unique and so valuable. I know, Sam, you agree that it's really been impressive to get to know Jeffrey and his family and find out what this thing's all about, right?
Yeah, to see how you've grown this, Jeffrey. And, there may be people out there that think even a $10 donation won't do anything. Yes, it will. I think every little bit helps. So don't think, oh, well, just because you can't donate a large sum of money, every dollar counts. Because as Jeffrey has outlined through this course of the past hour, there are so many things that these families need because of the high costs, the medical bill, everything. So don't think for 1 second that even a smaller contribution isn't going a long way.
Thanks again, Jeffrey, for having us. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. And I know you're going to play us out here. Bill O'Reilly doesn't know what does play us out mean,
Yeah.
but you know. And I know you've got some final words and some final numbers as well.
Absolutely.
That reflect the generosity of those who have been following along. And again, if you're watching this later, please be generous. Thanks so much. Great being with you.
Absolutely. And that final thing that we do need to talk about is our final our final raffle of the night. And the message I received says that this person has won Lowe's, which makes it sound like they have won the ownership of the corporation. I'm not sure if we can swing that. If we could, I think we would lose our nonprofit status pretty quickly. But for that final raffle of the night, one of y'all want to take it away?
Deuce?
Okay, you bet. I've got it here. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Roger Rawlings. Roger Rawlings wins Lowe's. Congratulations.
Roger.
Way to go, Roger.
Absolutely. And as we're rounding out the live part of the night here, again, I know that a lot of you are probably joining us after the fact. We've brought in about $2,100 in donations so far, which for a 1-hour stream on a Saturday night is fantastic. But we really want to see as much of that as possible going forward this weekend, and we will keep that running total going, and we'll have a full total for you tomorrow night. So if you need something encouraging to look at after turning away from the football game tomorrow afternoon, come and take a look at that total, make your contribution as well.
Arg. Donate,
indeed.
matey.
Do it.
Donate, matey.
Donate, matey. Absolutely.
Arg.
And on that note, as we are losing control of Mike's sanity, we will go ahead and let you go for the night. Oh my god.
Oh dear. here.
Good Lord. All right. Thank you very much to everyone in the Jeffrey Has Heart community and beyond who has watched with us tonight. We really thank you for your support. Make sure that you donate. And I do want to tease here as well. We have a lot coming up next year with our 10th year of life. Our 10th year will be full of celebrations and fun events, and we will keep you updated on that immediately. But as for everyone else who's here or watching later on, thank you so much. Take care, have heart, and we will see you later.